All right. FBC in the building.
Back in the building. What up, family?
Back in the building.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, man, listen,
What up?
I'm super excited to be back in the building, man.
I
Me
am
too.
You know what I'm saying? We've been getting all kind of DMs. We've been getting text messages.
For sure.
Like, where y'all at?
Where y'all at? But
For sure.
we here.
We here.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
We are here,
I know
and we are ready to get back into these conversations, back into these family meetings.
Yes.
So we welcome our family back to
Welcome back,
FBC,
family.
Welcome back to FBC.
where we are helping families live well by having real, transparent conversations.
Yeah. Real deal.
And boy, we've got a real, transparent conversation
Got a real
for
transparent
today.
conversation about today. What we talking about today?
Mocha, what we
So
talking about?
we're talking about why aren't people staying married?
Wow.
Oh, that part.
Why aren't
'Cause,
people staying married?
I know a lot of people that are getting divorced,
Hey, man.
Calling it quits.
calling it quits, and it's a lot. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
Especially in a time where it's, first of all, the dating scene. We know a lot of single people too.
Yeah,
you
for
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like the dating scene is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Then you got people that's not staying
Hey, they
married, so
said-
now they single.
They
like
said
it's
it's
like,
pee in the dating pool.
It's what?
Pee in the dating
Oh,
pool.
somebody done
urine?
peed in the pool.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think, like you said, though, there are a lot of people that we even know personally
Yeah.
who have decided to change their marital status, and it's a real thing. Like
is.
people going through it. So I don't know. It's like people are choosing not to stay married, but then you got people who are choosing not to get married because of.
Yeah.
It's
You know
like
what I'm saying?
the issues that I'm hearing or the reasons why people are choosing to get divorced are things that Constance and I have encountered. And I'm like, oh, that's it?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but
I think the temperature of society has changed because like our great grandparents and our grandparents, some of them have stories to where they kind of stayed married beyond what we would feel like a
For sure.
reasonable means.
For sure.
And when you're coming into a culture where like women are becoming more vocal about how they feel and everybody's becoming more vocal about what's going on in their head, people are tapping out for, like you said, things where we were like, I mean, we didn't give ourselves an option.
So,
I mean, like where we say there's no option, people are saying, yeah, if you do that, I'm out of here. Like,
So what are some of the things? Because there has to be some non-negotiables.
Right.
That's what we refer to them as.
Right.
What are the non-negotiable? Like, okay, I don't care if this happens. Like, what made y'all, or what things did y'all stand on? If this happens, we're not going to ever consider marriage.
I don't think
this
we
divorce.
even talked
about to
about
say,
that type of
didn't.
We just
Talked about
kind
it
of,
either.
it was like an automatic, like, moral compass. It's like, wait a minute, first of all, we're saved. So there's certain things we're not going to do. And at a young age, what I said to myself was, it's one thing if I do it, but how would I feel if she was to do what I'm thinking about doing to me?
yeah.
Which helped anchor me in not doing it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So cheating, abuse, stuff like that.
So when it comes to cheating and it comes to abuse, are we saying that these are legit grounds for divorce?
I think grounds for divorce, it really is circumstantial.
It is.
It is relative.
It's dependent on the couple.
It's circumstantial depending on the person because, I could say, or we could say, like, these are our non-negotiables, but to somebody, it's like, yeah, been there, done that.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And then there are things that, when we first got married, there were things that I swore I just wouldn't take. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Even watching my parents grow up, my dad is an amazing man, but there were just certain things I was like, I would not take that from my husband.
And she took it.
And I ended up taking it.
For sure. For sure.
It really just depends because once you get into the situation, you have to count the overall cost of your decision. And when you look at the overall cost, if, my health is not in danger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's just, if it's disrupting me being okay for a moment, but this is something we can talk through,
Can
work
we get
through.
to another side of this?
Right.
Exactly. I feel like this generation is trying to see, okay, who can I live with? When it's like with me, it's like, Constance get on my nerves sometimes, and I'm sure I get on her nerves, but it's like I can't live without her.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? It just hit different.
Yeah.
So it's like changing the perspective, but starting off with that perspective is not a normal thing now.
That
Yeah.
part.
It's conditional, it's transactional, it's different.
Yeah.
It's getting, because I've been kind of thinking about this. Like, of course, you know, me and my wife, we've been together for ages outside of our marriage. But
Right.
We've been married 15 years. But people, a lot of times, the societal norm is to get married for love.
Yeah.
I'm in love.
Yeah.
I get married for love. This person loves me. But I'm kind of thinking like there has to be a deeper reason to get married other than just love. And I know that may be a weird statement to make, but
I understand it.
when it comes to me and my wife, it's like, love is there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One, love is selflessness.
Yeah.
But there's more than love. There's partnership. There's somebody I can depend on. There's somebody who, where I'm weak, she is strong.
For sure.
There's that covenant exchange,
Exchange
within our partnership. So when we talk about marriage, I think it's super important to understand that it's not just about love.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about the relational covenant that has to be present.
Yeah.
And you have to also consider, like, is this person somebody I want to build a legacy with? So you're talking about partnership, like this person is going to be involved with our kids if we have them. Or if I already have kids, like, can I trust this person to be a guardian or a parent to my children? That's love, but that's also like I gotta make sure that you're the type of person that I see that happening with. You know what I'm saying? So,
because you can love a person and not trust them,
and you can love a person and not really rock with how
so
they
it can't be just love.
do parenting. You know what I'm saying? Your parenting style, I could love you and not agree with your parenting style.
For sure. I feel like a lot of folks are just minusing the whole God factor.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, some people are afraid of they're afraid that God may say what they may not be on. So no, that's not the one may go against, I really want them to be the one. So they just go off how they feel. And that's extremely dangerous because love and lust look a lot alike. They are like,
they even feel the same.
They
until
even feel the
after
same.
the climax.
Exactly.
Yes, feel very
You're
different.
right. But there's a very determining factor between love and lust. Lust takes, love gives. Lust leaves you feeling minus something. Love leaves you feeling fulfilled. But in the heat of it all, everything else feels the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Adrenaline is on.
I'm in love with you. And then the old folks go, baby, you don't even know what love is. That's just puppy love. That's just you just got the little puppy love. You know, it's cute. But it's like a real thing, but it's like it could be so deceiving because it's like they're almost identical until you get up close on it.
Yeah.
But by the time you up close on it to realize it's lust, the damage has been done.
Sheesh.
And now you're stuck in a
can we
toxic
even,
relationship.
Could we even say that, when we think about love, we also know love endures.
It does.
So can you, even the levels of love, I think, grow. You know what I mean? Like maybe like in the beginning, it's like, okay, you may feel like you love them, but it could be like lust heavy.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until you're actually in life and you're doing life with each other and you're walking through things and so now you're enduring, now your love is growing because you've been enduring
Right.
certain
That's
things.
true.
You know what I mean? So
That's
if you're not, if you haven't endured anything, you know what I'm saying? Like in these relationships, like I know couples are like, we haven't fought at all. It's been, and I'm like,
We have the
haven't
perfect
endured.
relationship.
I don't know, guys.
We've never
I'm
argued.
not really sure. I get it.
So
But
with love comes an endurance that has
there's
to
an
be present.
endurance, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know how in court they say, the defense bears the burden of proof. Like there's a burden of love that has to be present. Meaning
Proven.
There's a proof. Because we're talking about the endurance. We're talking about
Fire being tested.
it's a testing.
Yeah.
Lust.
It's a refining.
See, there it is. The pressure, the the fire.
Yeah.
It refines who you are.
For sure.
And refines the love.
Yeah.
Without that, then you know, lust can't be refined.
Yeah.
There's no refined lust.
Yeah.
Could you have both?
Lust and love. I think
Could it start off
Okay.
lust and then go into love, or could it start off a little bit of
Well,
both and then evolve into a mature?
So what I'll say this: if lust couldn't turn to love, I probably wouldn't be sitting next to this.
I
lady.
agree and I concur.
But I think he lusts after me in our marriage. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely lust
yeah,
after
yeah,
her in our marriage.
So-
There's a lust that after
Okay,
like, girl,
so
I love you.
Highly desire
Like,
you,
ooh,
and
girl.
it has nothing to do with love.
So I want to know because I don't know. What is lust though? Like, what's the definition? Because I don't want to be like, yeah, I lust.
Lust after you, baby.
What is lust?
It's like a craving just for the senses. So I love what I see, hear, feel, touch, smell of her.
Sound good to me.
But if she got a bad attitude, I'll deal with it up until. So it makes it circumstantial.
Oh, so there. That's I like that.
It makes
it's
it circumstantial. It's conditional.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but
That's
with
true,
the
'cause
love,
I could be
I'll
completely
deal with the
Unconditional.
It's unconditional. So she could be having a Constance
Speak on it, man. Well,
What?
is habitually late to things. And it's one of my pet peeves. I think I talked about this on previous shows. But that's not, and as much as it grinds my gears, I love her.
of course.
I can't see myself ever
course.
living without her.
Of course.
When I watch movies, like what was that movie we was watching over the holidays with Morris Chestnut and
Oh, best man.
and the wife had cancer and she passed.
Yeah.
I'm a bear,
Cried a little bit.
but I
Shed a
did.
tear.
Yeah.
Because when I'm watching now at 43, I'm empathetic.
Yeah, man.
So it's like I
Because you realize
automatically,
what that is.
and then I'm a pastor, so I'm like, I'm really empathetic when I see things, and I'm like, oh no, baby, I just start hugging on her. I don't care how late you be, I'm gonna be late with you, baby.
Don't be late too.
But that's missing with this younger generation that just goes, I'm done
Yeah.
off of the late.
You know what else I think too is a thing is because right now, even in the climate like of the world, everybody is so mental health
Yes.
conscious too. So everybody's kind of like, I'm protecting my
Oh, I'm gonna
peace.
protect my peace.
Exactly.
I'm
That's what
Rather be in my heart.
I'm saying.
I'm managing my stress.
Right.
I'm, you know what I mean? So
Right.
everybody's kind of ultra sensitive.
Yes.
My therapist told me that you're probably one of the causes. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So instead of you counting the cost that you would do and, you know what I mean? Like really going to couples, okay, let's try to figure out where did this turn? Where did
sure.
this happen? You're just like, no, you're disrupting my peace. I'm leaving you.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
And I think with that, you're missing the point that if you're talking about exchanging strengths for weaknesses and vice versa,
Which is covenant.
if we're talking about that, then there is a level of growth that should take place because if where I'm weak, you're strong, your strength will help to build me up.
For sure.
Right.
When you're lifting weights, it don't feel good all the
right.
time. At some point, there is pressure, there is pain, there is a level of breakdown
Especially when you're done.
before you actually see the growth or the results. And so people are tapping out because once they feel that pain, that pressure, and it feels like it's a nagging one. Now, of course, we know there are exceptions.
Yeah.
No one's asking you to put your life in danger
Right.
or to, you know what I'm saying, risk your safety.
But
you know
what
what I'm
about
saying,
when people
for a relationship.
And I don't want to cut you off, but what about when people feel like that mental health piece is just as endangering as a physical thing?
I mean,
Wait, say that again?
It's
So-
depending on we're counting the cost. Like, is this a matter of one? Is this something that is progressing? Like, do you see any
You're
evolution?
talking about mental abuse.
So
or
yeah, a lot of times people like
emotional abuse.
It could be a mental abuse. It could be emotional abuse, and people can count that as just as detrimental to their lives as physical abuse.
And
sure.
it is.
It
And
is.
it definitely is. My thing is the quick tap out. That's my thing. And then people will say, well, how long is too quick, or you know, whatever. And that's where I'm saying you have to kind of have your own your own regulation to say, okay, this is too much for me or this is overbearing. I'm just saying, don't be so quick to tap out as soon as you feel pressure come or you see pressure being worked into your relationship. Like, you know, that's a conversation that needs to be had. And I don't really think people are having those conversations because like we said, we didn't establish, okay, what are the gotchas before you get married? We just kind of in our mind knew, look, we've been together since we was kids.
Yeah. We was arguing the day we got married.
Definitely. I was like, that might have been a sign.
Wow.
For the average Joe, that would have been a sign. Maybe we shouldn't do this.
We were like, I do.
Yeah, right.
We was in the courthouse. Well, I got to sign that.
Let me sign them papers.
I could see that for y'all.
Let me sign them papers.
So like,
I could see that happening.
It definitely
Like,
happened.
even with us, like, we were just like,
she was late.
hurry up, get married right quick. Go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
It was because it was a thing that was just, it was automatic. We didn't think about not being married.
Right.
Keeping it a G.
Had to go get married.
And
When we got married,
young,
we
too.
were it was more of a religious thing. It was more of we are tired of fornicating and feeling guilty about it. Let's
Yep.
make it legal. And that's
that's
why
a
we
real
got
thing.
Yeah.
initially.
Yeah.
That's why we got married.
Yeah.
Now, I met her when she was 11. I felt I was in love.
Yeah.
At 11, it was when she was 11, I was 12, 13. It was more lust because
It was puppy love.
It was puppy.
That's what my mama said.
Pup love,
Puppy
right?
love.
But the more and more we grew, the more and more we matured. I think when we got married, we were how old?
I was 20 and you were 22.
And I had been through a lot of different relationships. And in each relationship, each girl I was with knew Constance or knew about her and knew not to disrespect her to me.
Wow.
Because she just held this place. And as much as we wasn't together and she had her, flings or whatever, her let me stay occupied while Anthony's sold his raw oats type thing. You feel me? Right? It was like, I knew that that's going to end up being my wife one day.
Wow.
Not sure
so
when.
you always felt that.
Always. What I used to tell girls I was dating that. This ain't going to be nothing like that.
Yeah.
While on the other hand, I loved them all my life, but I had gotten to a place where I loved him so much. I was like, I love you enough to release you because he just couldn't seem to get it together. So I loved him and I held the love in my heart, but I had released him because I didn't know what he was going to do. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to let him go and live and be. Yeah. If he decides to come back, he'll come back correct. And
so,
that.
I mean, that's an interesting point. So what about the people, like what you just said? You said you loved him enough to release him. Now, what about the people who may be a little older and are in the confines of marriage, but there's a woman who feels the exact same way because there's a man who may not be within where he should be as far as boundaries.
Yeah.
Stop being so controlling, feeling like you can't, I gotta, if something gonna happen, it's gonna be because I did this or because I did that or because I did this or because I did that. Constance at a young age knew God. So her thing was, if it's meant to be, now it's going to happen anyway.
Now I'm talking about in the confines of a marriage, though.
Inside of the marriage.
Because now we're in the confines of a marriage. How does that dynamic change when we've already said the vows?
I don't give you enough to release you. How does that apply?
That's deep.
Because there are people who are trying to navigate that.
Yes, for sure. When you're evaluating a problem, you know what I'm saying? I think there's a level of, kind of just considering where you are, like locate where you are. And then if you guys can come into agreement, what are we going to do to resolve this issue? If both parties cannot come into agreement on how to resolve the issue, I'm not encouraging anyone to stay in a situation where somebody just refuses to change and continues to hurt you. That is
refusal. There's a refusal and a consistency and a certain behavior.
Yeah.
That is opposite of love.
Now, let's not get it twisted. There's people out there that have gotten divorced and they made the right decision.
For sure.
And they are co-parenting. doing well, and are better friends now,
right.
separately, than they were when they were married. All I'm saying is, for us, I don't see that happening. I can't live without my wife.
Yeah.
And I've seen people get divorces and separate and remarry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You come back together. I think the challenge inside of a marriage, just depending on the scenario, some people get married at different stages in life, and then as you grow, you have a hard time growing together because I'm not the same 20-year-old he married.
For
you know
sure.
what I'm saying? We are having to evolve, and now we're in a space where, you know, we've been married 20 years. So in 20 years, you mean to tell me I'm the same person? No, I mean, there are some things that still remind him of that little girl. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I am changing as a person, and we have to change and stay updated together.
We update.
That's why people say you have to, you know, continue dating and getting
sure.
to know each other because you're changing.
And be intentional about it. Don't let it just happen. No, be intentional about we're going on a date. We're going out to eat. I want to ask the right questions.
We're talking about first of all, y'all mentioned the evolution.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people lose because they fail to evolve with each other.
Yeah.
We have to constantly be updated with each other.
They get lost in their careers. They get lost in the business, the routine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Or
saying?
just the kids. And then those kids leave, and now you're looking at each other and don't know each other.
For sure.
But then when we talk about being young, you know, we, first of all, men and women, we mature at different pace, at a different pace.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's hard to keep a pace with each other when emotionally, mentally, intellectually, we're changing at a different rate.
That's true.
Yeah.
So how do we I guess how do we circumvent the pressure of the lack of evolution within a relationship? Like how do we resolve it?
One, I feel like you got to come past. A lot of us are just self-deceived. There's a lot of unlearning we have to do based off of how we were raised.
I'm about to say that come from how we were raised.
Yep.
Yeah.
That come from us watching either our parents,
What you've been exposed to.
marriage. Like that comes from.
That's good.
Somebody was telling me. I was talking to one of my friends. He's like, I think he's almost 30, and he was saying, man, like just dating now for them is different. He was like, because of what's happening so much with mental health stuff, is that. He's like, the questions that I'm asking is, how were you raised?
Yes.
How was your childhood?
For sure.
How was you know what I mean? He's like, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
What's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
What was your
Let's get
reference?
to it. Let's get to
I
it.
need to get
Reference.
to
What was your reference?
Let's get to, what have you seen? Like, what have you been exposed to?
Your
Like,
reference, your
like
exposure,
that.
and then what's your compass? How are you?
Yeah.
What have you seen? What type of ship have you watched navigate the storms?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, because I know, you know, there's women who have not been taught to be wives.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
it wasn't necessarily modeled.
Modeled.
There are men, of course,
Yeah.
who don't have any idea as to how to be a husband because it wasn't modeled.
Right.
I talked to my wife the other day. I said, hey, we have to, and this is a real thing. There are a lot of things in our household that we have to tighten up on. Because our son says, because we're creatives, that, you know, sometimes our house is a little messy.
I got you.
Sometimes things are out of place.
I got you.
Sometimes, and our son said, you know, I thought it was just, y'all were just creatives. Because, you know, he hears us talking like, hey,
Right.
we got to tighten this up.
Right.
But no, the realization was, or is, we have to tighten up because what are we raising?
Yeah.
Because our girls are watching.
Every
Yeah.
move.
What kind of wife
Yeah.
are we teaching our daughters to be?
So
What
true.
kind of mother are we teaching our wives,
That's so
our daughters to be? But I'm not even saying it in a way of because they're girls, they have to know this. But even, you know, my son, what type, I was intentional about
Yeah.
making sure he was a certain type of husband,
Yeah.
a certain type of father.
Yeah.
So, but we do have to take that same intentionality now with our girls in the
Right.
house. So,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
true.
everything has to have a home in our house now.
Yeah.
And you know what's
Exactly.
funny though? I got that from Aunt. I just never said
Everything got a home. When you said it, I'm like, yes.
He said, yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I didn't give him that credit.
I love that.
I said,
that.
girls, look around.
This spot, what you got?
There we go.
Imbalance in exchange.
Imbalance. It's covenant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I said, the girls, look around. You see all these things? right now everything is homeless, and we have to clean this city up.
There you go.
I cleaned the city.
There you go.
Everything has a home.
Where does that live?
Yeah, where does it live? So we're working on that, but that's us
sure.
being intentional about what they're exposed to,
Yes.
what they're referencing,
Yes.
and what the compass will be when they get older.
Yeah.
Now, how easy is it to do that when you got deadlines at work?
That's so tough.
The numbers ain't numbering.
Right.
Part, bro.
The bills and the account don't match.
Then when that happens, it has the cousin of why you say it with that tone.
Yes.
Right? And then you come home and the kids I got homework, I got this, I got that. Then they start arguing, and then before you know it, and then throughout that whole time, ain't no time spent with God, ain't no time even thinking about praying because you're so engaged
In life.
in your daily routine. I think it just got to get to a point for people who are out there trying to figure out how to keep the main thing the main thing. One, keep the main thing the main thing. Here's the main thing: God, marriage, family. That's a reference that I use, that we use to keep us centered. Keep him first, and everything. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. I use that in reference to my kids, in reference to my finances, in reference to all that. But you have people who are raised to be, well, man, I got to get it out the mud. I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to do that. What part does God play in that? Am I idolizing my work ethic? Am I idolizing the fact that I'm a great father? Because some people, for different strokes,
sure.
it's different
For
folks.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's easy to idolize the thing and get away from your source.
What do you mean idolize? What does that mean?
Meaning you're making the sub thing the main thing.
Okay.
Okay? God is the main thing. He's my source. Everything springs from him, for me, for us, right? But the things that I need him for can be just as important because I love my wife, I love my children, I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my family, right? But it's easy to make that the idol, right? Compared to
Meaning making that the focus,
make that the main
where
thing.
all of your energy goes
whatever
to.
you're putting on the throne of your life
Yes.
in place
Boom.
of God's position.
whatever you're full of will lead you. So when I pray, I usually start the prayer off with, Father God, I thank you for being at the center of my life, at the center of this podcast, at the center of my finances. Because if he's not at the center, something else is. And whatever that something else is going to begin to take the wheel.
So
And I
like
think I'm driving, but
nucleus
it's
and
really
brain
that
of
thing
it.
driving.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So I think it's super important as we're talking about these relationships and we're talking about these people who aren't staying married or don't want to get married. Evaluate what's at the center of your life.
Yeah.
For sure.
What's at the center?
Yeah.
Is
What
it
are you-
self-centered?
That's it.
'Cause that could be, that's a thing.
a lot of people are.
a real thing.
driven
And
by
the
self.
thing about it is, you could be self-centered and be self-deceived at the same time. And the dangerous part about it is, you don't even know you self-deceived. You just moving around like
what-
everything normal.
That's tough though.
That's the
what
trick, though.
That's what deceived is. You don't even know.
You don't even know you deceived.
called
So when somebody try to
deceit
tell
for
you,
a reason.
instead of you embracing it, you're offended by it.
Yeah.
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 Myself included.
Yeah. For sure.
Because it'll take somebody to say something to me and it'll be true. And I'll be like, man, but who are you to tell me that? And it could be somebody I really give carte blanche to be able to speak into my life, including my wife.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's how the Holy Spirit worked, though. She was right. Go back and apologize. Either I can be self-centered and prideful and
like,
go,
"Bummer."
nope. Or, Lord, you're at the center.
What you putting at the
Look at this. Look. Babe, I'm sorry. You was right.
Not with the tight lips.
Yeah, for sure.
Not with the tight lips.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you was talking about the girls with with my boys, we want to raise our boys to be independent. I think I went in too much with the independence to the point where when it comes to depending on God, it becomes a little hard for them now because I've always taught independence.
Yeah, man.
So at 43, I'm like, dang, I got to fix that. So when they have kids, they don't make the same mistake.
So you're adjusting the perspective, the exposure. You're adjusting the compass.
It's everything. For kids, it's everything. For marriage, what are you exposing yourself to? Who are you hanging around? Are you hanging around people who will cuss each other out 1 second and then be big boy kicking it the next? If so, that's toxic. I might need to push the brakes on that because that can come off into what we got going on. And I don't do toxic like that. That may be a trigger for me.
We receive it different from how they roll.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So if you're out there and you're having a hard time or you find yourself constantly in a place where you don't want to be married, I would say, one, evaluate the reason why you got married. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we do stuff just for, for the hype. I've seen people get married for aesthetics, you know what I'm saying? Because it look good on social media, because you don't want to be by yourself. But if you truly care about building with a person, then, take into account some of the other things that we were saying, just evaluating the person you're connecting with, knowing that it takes more than love to maintain a relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It requires more
intention.
You know what I'm saying? Love, love ain't enough. It's not all. It is not the period.
Dying to self.
A lot of dying to self.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, evolution and dying to self is not also someone trying to change you as a person. You know what I'm saying? They are not one and the same. So someone trying to change like the type of person God has created you to be versus you got some ways about you that need some development. Those are two totally different things.
There's a difference between aging and growing.
Yes.
Aging is automatic. Growth is intentional.
That's good.
So if I'm going to, what she's talking about as far as dying to self, biting your tongue, taking the low road and being like, you got it. But I always do that, and I always be cool, ice cold. Be cool, chill out. It's all good. If you keeping God at the center instead of you at the center, see, if you're at the center, you're setting yourself up to take all the hits. But if God is at the center, it may feel a certain way at first, but that's just your flesh trying to let go of it. That makes sense? So,
and that comes with time.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta you gotta grow to that.
Maturity and growth take intention.
And and so in your marriage, when you have to be evolving.
Yes.
You have to be intentionally growing.
I'm telling you.
And I think something that goes hand in hand with, Constance talking about, it's not about somebody changing who you are or changing the person. That evolution is mutual. It has to be a mutual, like we are both supposed to be
that
evolving.
Part.
We're both supposed to be
because if it's one-sided, that's when they screaming divorce.
It's the one-sided.
When it's one-sided, that's where divorce
Somebody's stagnant somewhere.
Somebody,
what we call it? Unequally
It's unequally yoked.
That's the definition.
That's it.
Dang, that's
Somebody's
nasty,
pulling harder than the other.
Man,
But
I've seen it.
people see that as, they don't see it as that. They don't see it that you can have been married. They think that unequally yoked is before marriage. Like, I'm not marrying nobody I'm unequally yoked with.
So you're trying to find somebody you yoked with.
Right, but in marriage, it can
But you know what?
You can evolve
into that because somebody is doing this and the other person is here.
Seasons of disyokement.
But you know what though? Even when we're looking at when we're looking at the practical thing of being yoked, we're talking about two whether it's cattle, whether it's horse.
For sure.
They yoke them together, meaning they use a device to connect their necks,
so that
and they're pulling and pacing together the load. But the thing is, the actual yoking takes training.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a
Rhythm.
There's a whoever's yoking.
Yeah.
That's a training thing. So when we're yoking, we don't just expect to just come into rhythm together.
Yeah.
We don't just expect to just automatically walk together.
Right.
We have to align ourselves
Right.
Yep.
Intentionally.
intentionally.
So that means one might be pulling, then it's like, ooh,
somebody pull. Hold on.
another, ooh.
It's
a rhythm.
It's a
Yeah.
breaking.
It's a flow.
It's a pushing, a breaking.
But you
and coming
usually
into
don't put
alignment.
a strong bull and a weak bull together.
Because it's going to be an issue.
It's gonna be an issue.
If there's a weak, now
The yoke ain't gonna move
it's
like
not
you
going
need
to
to
move
move.
the right. But
Something gonna break.
So even then, if there's a weak one, there's a time of strengthening that needs to happen.
Covenant.
Before
Covenant.
Before you even are
before we
yoked.
yoke up.
Yeah.
Before we yoke up.
You know what?
Wow.
I'm going to become my full
Yep.
self.
That's good.
Yep.
You work on becoming your full self with God in the center, and now we yoke.
Yep. Instead of trying to do it after you done made
the
the
part.
covenant, now
That's
you feel
so
like you
good.
stuck.
We
Now
covenant.
marriage becomes a prison.
And now I'm pulling you.
Now
I'm pulling you this whole time. It's
Oh,
like,
now
no,
she pulling me.
there's
I don't
a
wanna go
reason
that
why
way.
you're supposed to take your time. I
y'all
think
better
we were
preach.
blessed.
Man.
We were
was
blessed
good.
because we were definitely from this context unequally yoked
For
when we
sure.
first got married.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We didn't even understand it.
That's grace.
And honestly, when you talk about like the pressure of having to pull and tug, you know what I'm saying? We did suffer the consequences
For sure.
of a decision like that.
For
And
sure.
So some of you might be in a marriage or in a relationship and you do feel a sense of suffering. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But for us, we decided, we had already committed
You
that
weathered it.
yeah, we're in
Endured.
this.
That's
you know
the
what I'm saying?
endurance.
And I think that when you make a decision or you come into agreement like that, it really takes the pressure off of your partner feeling like they have to perform in order to not lose you. You know what I'm saying? Like if I know he's in it, then it gives me the confidence to really push to work it out versus he probably about to tap out and leave anyway because I know you can't take it. People can start walking on eggshells with their person. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If I always feel like you're gonna tap out, so
Yeah.
that's just something to consider. Like be intentional
good.
about making a solid decision and coming into agreement.
So real quick, right? I want to do like this rapid thing, right? So we'll start off with B,
Okay.
but list out questions that should be asked
Ooh.
before you get married. But it's got to be like just off the top of the dome.
Hey, man, that's dangerous,
Like
bro.
rapid fire.
Oh, that's dangerous,
Real
bro.
quick.
Rapid
So like
fire.
you first, then Mocha, then Constance, then me, and then we'll do 3 rounds of it.
Wait a minute, what are we naming?
So you're saying.
Questions that should be asked before you get married.
Get married.
Oh.
Okay.
On 3.
So hold on, because you just
Off the top of the dome, because the
hold on.
people want to know.
So let's do it like this. We'll go around 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Okay.
Instead of just, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right.
So ask the question. Say what we're doing again.
And then we just gonna go. And you got less than a second to say what you gotta say. Because that way it be organic.
Hey.
Come on, man, make it a little fun for the
It's
audience.
dangerous.
Oh, okay. I got one so far.
Hold up, let me turn my vibrator on the chair. Because I know there's a podcast too.
Audio.
We have vibrating chairs.
Guys, cheers.
I want to make sure I'm comfy.
Oh my
All right, come on, turn the intensity up. All right, we go.
Okay, so ask the question again.
All right. What are questions that should be asked before you get married?
Okay.
Go.
And I'm not going to be thinking about anything.
You're thinking about it while you're talking. That's right.
That's your decision.
Dang, y'all, this is hard.
Come
All
on,
right,
B.
All right. Sit.
Ask the question again. Are you ready? All right. What are questions that should be asked before you enter into marriage?
Does my body count matter?
How long have your parents been married? And if they're divorced, why did they get divorced?
What's gonna make you leave me?
What do you look like when you're angry?
What you bring to the table?
Crap.
Go ahead.
Pick it up.
Oh my gosh.
Come back. Go, Constance.
Come back. I can't think. Crap.
How do you resolve problems? What's your problem solving
Right.
method?
Why did you and your ex break up?
What does leadership mean to you?
Are you against therapy?
Good one. Would you mind if I made more than you?
How much money do you make?
Are you conscious of where your credit score is?
Where do you want to live, like in the future?
Let's talk all things sex. Like, do you have to have sex multiple times a week? What if I don't want to do oral sex? Is that a problem?
Yes.
Those kind of questions.
You
Oh, I'm sorry.
better.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa!
Oh, what are we doing?
Yo!
Hey, no.
Just
But
no
I think-
one to ask.
Look,
These
I'm
are
sorry.
not questions
But
I
listen,
ask.
there was a reason why I wanted to do that exercise, because in the heat of it, in the initiation, when you're first attracted to that person and you got the butterflies in your stomach and you're trying to figure it out, just as hard as it was for us to have those questions or to ask those questions, when you're faced with that person, you're mesmerized by her
Yeah,
looks.
you don't want to ask those
by her
questions.
beauty, by her
throw 'em off.
booty, by her intellect, by your
excitement of it.
The excitement of it can be extremely overwhelming, which is why it's good to be rooted and centered
In your singleness.
in your singleness.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I'm confident in who I am.
disregard
I
all
already
that.
know the
Right.
questions I want to ask
I
you.
was getting ready to say, having those questions already prepared, like in your singleness, like what are the types of things I would want to know so that when you find that person, you're not forgetting.
So as you're a single
Yeah.
person, that's part of becoming a whole person
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
your own,
Yeah.
understanding. What are we saying? You said rooting yourself in your singleness. That's what you said. What did you say?
Yes.
Being whole in your singleness.
Okay.
Being whole, what does that mean? That means I'm confident in who I am. The Bible says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. It didn't say he that findeth a girlfriend. So a single woman should be a wife before she's married. So if you're not becoming that, what does a wife look like for you? That's a question.
And what does a
And that's-
husband
that's
look like for
probably
you?
relative.
Because
Right.
it's
And even that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Which is half the problem
That's
now,
true.
because most young men are looking for the girl to complete them.
We'll
figure
for
it
sure,
out.
for sure.
We'll figure it out when we get there, as long as we together.
Yeah.
Because that's that raised by a single parent stuff that kind of herded into even kids who were brought up with both parents.
No, for
And
sure.
or we come from a society where so much pressure was placed on all of what the woman does and the man just kind of goes and does the labor, when we don't live in a society where men are doing all of the labor anymore.
Self-deception.
So it's like, you have to, those type of ideals have to evolve as well,
Yeah.
because we're not in those days anymore.
Yeah. The woman serves me. Self-deception.
Right.
I got to be the tough guy all the time, and I can't be vulnerable. Self-deception.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? All of those things matter, man. So
or the woman has to be the one taking care of the kids all the time.
Yeah.
Brian, you were taking care of the girls at a point.
Yeah.
And I know my brother was at home with my niece.
Yeah.
For a season while my sister-in-law was working.
For
So
sure.
those type of roles, they're interchangeable, and I think having those conversations really would help you not to find yourself in a position where you're like ready to tap out and
Absolutely.
not wanting to stay married.
So, Mocha, you have a background in therapy, right?
Yeah.
So, to the men and women that are watching, some may be married thinking about divorce. Some may be about to get married and they're getting, the jitters, or they're overthinking it. So they're like, okay, is this good thing really good for me? Should I do it? What do you say to them?
I say to them, as individuals, I think they should both have therapists, separate ones. I think that a person that is wanting to enter into a relationship with another person, that they should kind of know the things that are going on with them as an individual.
Yeah.
First, you know what I mean? Like the things that, what triggers you? Why do you respond to this or that, like really being evaluating. Is that it?
Self-aware.
Self-aware. And because I think that will, first of all, it'll help the relationship. I think it'll help even your future children.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know how you tick,
Yeah.
in a sense. Because I think so many of us, by the time we get to a certain time in life, we've stuffed so much down.
Yeah.
that a lot of times we don't really know what's going on until we encounter certain things, and then we figure it out. Like
when it's triggered.
when it's triggered, and then it's kind of too late. You know what I mean? Well, not too late, but there's a problem. Right. You know what I mean? There's a catastrophe has happened. Yeah. So my advice would be like, legit, get a therapist. Like I even told my son, he's 21.
Yeah.
To get a therapist.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
What if they say they can't afford a therapist? What are some options for I don't have money for a therapist? I've heard that.
Get your weight up.
Or talk to some
Sorry.
Get an extra job. No.
Spiritual counseling.
Like spiritual counseling.
Church.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to a good church that you really feel, it may be some like elders, you know what I'm saying? Like older people, people that
go into your community.
That you could go into the community, get talk to some people that you trust, that you bear your soul to. Yeah. Because I think a lot of what therapy literally is bearing your soul.
For sure.
And it's really you like getting to the nitty gritty of how you move, why you respond the way you do, why do you act like this, why do I, you know what I mean? Like it's all the answered questions of the things we think about all the time. You know what I mean? We're like, dang, why did that bother me?
Right.
Yeah.
Like so badly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why don't I have road rage?
Right.
Why don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, why don't I want to run people over on the road? Like, there's something wrong there. You know what I mean? You probably need to figure that out.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like all the stuff that we've ignored,
Yeah.
For so long because we just didn't know that was like a real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that a lot of times you don't know that until you are in a relationship.
Yeah.
And you do have children. You know what I mean? And now they get the blunt of who you've become.
For sure.
And it's like a trickle down domino effect. So it's like,
that's good stuff.
Talk to somebody, man.
Talk,
Bare your soul.
Communicate.
Get vulnerable.
In a trusted place. Nowhere to lay your head.
Yeah.
Nowhere to lay your head.
And I tell my daughter all the time, nowhere to lay your tears.
Yes.
Don't put your tears anywhere.
Yeah.
That's good.
You put your tears on the shoulders of the people who love you unconditionally.
Right.
And the people for her right now, the people inside this house.
For sure.
Yes.
Your godparents, your parents. That's where you put your tears.
For sure.
Don't put your tears on that school bus.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
That's
it
where
becomes a spectacle.
That's it. That's it. So yeah, man. Guys.
This was heavy.
I think
good.
there's more to explore.
Y'all dropped some jewels. I'm ready.
There's some more to explore.
It's good.
Hey, man. So listen, guys, it's been another episode of Family by Choice, man. Hopefully you've gotten something out of this conversation, and we look forward to even sharing more on this conversation because I think it's more to explore,
For
right?
sure.
Hey guys, make sure you're emailing. It'll be on the screen. Make sure you're emailing your family meeting letters. What's a family by meeting letter? That's where you get to write in anonymously.
Yeah.
And kind of tell us what you're going through, and we talk about it right here on the show. And
it.
we come to solutions, and we talk about what we've been through concerning it, and hopefully we can help.
We've been through a lot,
man. Between the four of us,
we probably covered
just about almost everything. No,
we done covered about everything for real. For real.
Oh, we know somebody who did.
Yeah, we'll say that. We know somebody who been through everything. Hey y'all, it's been another one, man.
Yeah, man.
Super excited, man.
Glad to be back. Hey, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. Yes. Make sure you're tuning in. Until next time, we are Family by Choice.
Peace.
Bye.